Hello YouTube, welcome to my frog room and my first ever YouTube video. For this first video I just wanted to give you a quick rundown of the frog room, show you what species I'm working with right now, and talk a little bit about my plans for the future and what you can expect to see coming up on the channel. First, just to introduce myself, my name is Josh. I live near Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and I've been keeping and breeding dart frogs for over 6 years now. In this frog room right now I have 12 species of dart frogs and 2 species of tree frogs and 1 marbled newt. And the reason I decided to do this channel is I'd just like to try and bring some more awareness to the hobby, hopefully grow the hobby a little bit, maybe bring some new people in, and hopefully I can use some of my experience to help beginners to the hobby from making the same mistakes that I did when I was starting out. So let's get to it. So before we get into the frogs, I just wanted to briefly mention the aquariums. I am pretty big into the aquarium hobby. I've had some kind of aquarium pretty much my whole life since I was a little kid. I also did saltwater for many years. But I just kind of recently got back into aquariums after a couple years away. So let me know if you guys want to see any of that. This channel is mainly going to be focused on the frogs, but I can include some aquarium videos if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, so let me know. This betta back here is currently looking for a name if you guys have any ideas. He's sold as like a platinum red dragon plakat or something like that. But yeah, really nice bright white and red fins. Really liking that guy right now. So yeah, let me know what I should call him. Over here I've also got this little 10-gallon quarantine running right now. Got some of these Tenopoma leopards in here. And they will, once they get out of quarantine, they'll be going into this tank. It's going to be built pretty much around them. Not sure what else I'm going to put in there right now, but let me know if you guys want to see that kind of stuff as well. Alright, now on to the frogs. So in this first one here, these are the Dendrobatus auratus microspot. Came from Understory Enterprises. These are one of the newer additions to the frog room. Got them as juveniles. They're almost breeding age right now. I'm sorry, they all seem to be hiding right now. It is hard to catch them all out and about at the same time. So I might splice in some previous footage of certain frogs if I can't get any on this too, or at least throw in a picture so you can get an idea what they look like if we don't actually get them on film today. This tank down here is crazy overgrown aquarium. This houses my pair of Dendrobatus tinctorius azureus. I actually might as well show you the names here. I have all these labeled. So these are the microspots. These are the azureus, just so you guys can get proper spellings and everything if you do want to look these up and do more research on your own. So there is one of the guys hanging out on the glass there. This tank is pretty much ready for a rebuild and rescape, so you can look for that coming up on the channel. So moving on to this stand. This guy here, we have the Dendrobates leucomelis orange banded, not to be confused with the yellow banded or the Guyana banded, the ones with the solid bands. These ones are the spotted band ones, more common, been in the hobby for a long time. This is a group of ones that I've held back just because they have interesting patterns on them. Often called lukes for short, or the bumblebee dart frog because of the black and yellow. Arguably the best beginner frog, relatively hardy compared to most dart frogs. They are from a little bit naturally drier region in the wild than most of the frogs, so they would experience a bit of a dry season naturally, so they are a bit more tolerant of humidity and temperature fluctuations. Beside them we have Dendrobatus auratus elcope or elcope, Not exactly sure how you said that. If I pronounce any of these names wrong, guys, I'm sorry. Most of these I read long before I ever heard them pronounced, so I've done my best. It's really hard to change the way you think of a word after you've been saying it in your head one way for a really long time. These guys are really nice, almost like a metallic blue. And this group is a little shy for some reason. I had another pair of elk hopes years ago, and they were some of the boldest frogs I've ever had, but these guys are pretty shy for some reason. They spend a lot of their time hiding up in this cork tube here. But there are 6 frogs in this one. I believe I've got 4 females and 2 males. And they have just recently started producing eggs for me. They've laid 1 clutch so far. Just last week, so hopefully we get some more out of them soon. And down here, these are the Dendrobatus tinctorius citronella. One of the biggest and boldest dart frogs there are. You can really see these guys are not nearly as shy as a lot of them. This is the male down here. Really awesome colors on these guys, super vibrant. You can definitely see where the citronella name comes from. It's definitely got that lemon color. Big male, or big female up in the corner. And these guys have recently started producing eggs too. And big clutches. They've all been 10 plus eggs so far out of these guys. So should have lots of froglets for them coming up. And over here we have the tree frog tank. Down here we have an Amazon milk frog. I don't have this tank labeled. This scientific name is a mouthful. I think it's something like Trachycephalus resinifetrix. I have no idea if I'm saying that right, but I'll try and post that one up on the screen here. And behind him we have a red-eyed tree frog, just hanging out sleeping. These tree frogs are nocturnal. To mostly see them active at night. One of the things I love about dart frogs is that they're one of the few types of frogs that are diurnal, meaning they're active during the day, so you can see them out and about quite a bit compared to the tree frogs. And here we have a Chizuta tank. I'm probably going to splice in the other footage because I caught this is one of the males in here, the younger one, but I caught the other male in here just this morning transporting a tadpole. So I did get a shot of that, so I think I'm going to splice that in here. There's the female up there. I'm going to see if I can get a shot of him without him hopping away here, but the male is down here. And he's actually got a tadpole on his back right now. So I'm going to try, let's see if I can get a shot of it before I open this, because he's probably going to hop away. That reflection out of there, but you can see on his back there is a tadpole. These guys are really interesting behavior. Lay their eggs in a leaf, or in a lot of cases in these cups. I try to get them to lay in these film canister things, but I've been checking them and I haven't seen any eggs in there, so I'm not really sure where this guy came from. I had him hidden somewhere, but oh, there he goes off into the... But what they will do is, once the eggs hatch, they will put them on their back like that and carry them to a body of water. So I'm actually going to throw a little cup with some water in there, and he's going to hopefully deposit that tadpole in there, and then I can take it out of there and raise it myself, because I find they tend to grow bigger and have nice, healthier froglets when I can take them out and feed them myself rather than letting the parents do it in here. That's why these cups are in here. So these tanks are empty. These ones are going to be built up soon in a future video. And same with this guy here. This is going to be a big display tank. Not 100% sure what I'm going to put in there yet, but you can look forward to that build coming up. And then in here we have the Ranidomea variabilis southern. There's a male and 2 female adults in here, as well as 3 little froglets. So I'm going to try and get some shots of them first before I open this glass, because they do tend to jump away and hide when I open it. But this is one of the little froglets here. That's one of the females there. Nice big fat girl. There's another one of the young ones back here. So there is 6 frogs in here. Oh, and there's another female up on this branch. I don't usually get to see all these guys out at the same time like this. Really love these guys though. And they've been producing quite a few eggs for me recently too, so. I do need to get these young ones out of here though, because it's getting a little crowded with 6 frogs in this little vivarium. Yeah, these are some of my favorites. Very small frogs though, but gorgeous colors on them. Beside them, this is my only Pamilio. Got the Ufega Pamilio Rio Guarumo. Hope I'm saying that right. This girl we probably won't get a shot of. She's pretty shy. I'll try and throw a picture of her up. This is another Chizuta tank, same as these other guys. This tank's a little overgrown too. I actually bought this Viv set up as it was, pre-built kind of. But I really don't like the way it's set up, so I'm going to be tearing this one down and redoing it soon too. Down here we have another group of Lukes. Same line as the other guys. And these are the OGs of the frog room. These were my second frogs ever. I bought them as a proven breeding pair. And the guy I got them from, if he can be believed, said they were at least 10 years old at the time that I bought them. And that was about 5 years ago. So this pair here is probably about 15 years old. And they still produce eggs. Still probably one of my most consistent pairs. They've actually, I'm pretty sure we've got 2 clutches in here right now. They don't lay huge clutches, usually only 2 to 3 eggs at a time, but they're really consistent. Like they lay almost every week. So I got 3 eggs in there. These are fairly new. And these guys are really good parents too. Some of the frogs, I find I take the eggs out, have better success, but these guys I find way better success if I leave them in. I don't know if these guys are taking care of the eggs or what, but there's another clutch in here. I think one of these ones might have gone bad, but looks like there's a couple in there that are going to be hatching soon. And over here we have the Dendrobatus tinctorius powder blue. These ones are, oh, and these guys are actually doing some courtship behavior right now. See them up in the leaves here. It's the female in the back and the male in the front. Female's the bigger one. But yeah, I'm going to leave these guys alone because they were actually just doing some breeding behavior there. So I expect they are going to lay eggs later today, so I try and splice in a shot of that later if that happens. Beside here we just have it's like a plant nursery basically. I was using this as a saltwater aquarium back in the day, ended up shutting it down. But it's still got some pretty intense lights on it, so I've been using it just to grow plants right now. I've got this huge bromeliad in here. This is a 4-foot long tank, so you can get an idea of how big that bromeliad is. But I've been hanging on to him. When he first got him, he was just tiny. I had him in one of these smaller tanks, and it just like overgrew, took over the whole thing, so I had to pull it out and put it in here, and it's been growing ever since, and it's just getting huge. So he's actually got 4 pups on him right now. So I don't know if the parent or the pups or some of them are going to be going into here, because this is about the only terrarium I'm going to have that's going to be big enough for a vermilion of that size. And there's another smaller one in there and a few other random plants. And then over here is just kind of the workstation. Little table here and the tadpole racks. So these are all tadpole cups going on in here. These are eggs waiting to hatch. And down in here we have this is a powder blue froglet that's just about to morph out. You can just see a little stub of a tail left. So I leave them, when they get to that stage, I put them on an angle like this. When I see them kind of climbing up the sides of the cup, spending more time out of the water, I pull them out of there and they go into one of these grow out tanks on this rack. 10 5-gallons and some 10 gallons. We've got a lone Azurius down in here. This guy's actually old enough to sell. Is anybody in the Calgary area or even in Canada? I can ship Canada wide. And that guy's ready to sell. If anyone's interested, then we have a tank of powder blue froglets. I think there's 10 of them in here. These are actually ones that I'm going to be holding back for a while. They're pretty much sellable size too, but I'm going to be hanging on to these guys. To maybe get another pair, I do have another lone male powder blue in here somewhere. Kind of in there. But I'd like to get him a mate too. And then these next 4 are all powder blue froglets. There's about 30 or so of them between these 4 tanks. Some of them are pretty much ready to sell, like I think this tank. There's 4 or 5 in here that are ready to go, and a couple in here that are probably ready to go. Up here we have the super blue froglets. I haven't covered the adults of these guys yet, but this is the Dendrobatus auratus super blue. So then we have Dendrobatus auratus reticulated froglets. These guys are really shy when they're young. They get a little bit bolder as they get old, but probably not going to see any of these froglets in here today. And then we've got some Luke froglets. These guys came from that old pair that I showed you. And some of these guys are almost ready to sell as well. So that's it for the grow outs. So up here, these are the super blue parents. Dendrobatus auratus super blue. Pair in here. But they are hiding. Down here, these are more Lukes, but this is actually a different morph, more recent import. I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera, but these guys are much more yellow in coloration. The other ones are much more orange. These ones are the Leucomelas Guyana yellow. And these guys lay eggs quite a bit, but they all seem to go bad pretty much immediately. I've never had any even start to look like they're developing. So I don't know what's going on there, if the male is not fertilizing them properly or what's happening, but it seems like they haven't quite figured out how to get it right, or one of them is infertile or something. So they actually do lay eggs quite frequently, but I've never had any develop yet, which is pretty disappointing. And down below here, just another pair of Lukes. Down below them is the second pair of Azurius. Tinctorius Azurius. You can see one of them down there, a bit better view. Bright blue frogs. One of the bigger dart frogs as well. And the last frog tank over here, these are the auratus reticulated. Sorry, that label's a little messed up. I moved it from a different tank. And part of it ripped off, but these guys are just kind of black and green. Little bit shy, but These guys are actually, I find them to be bolder than most people say, especially as they get older. When they're froglets, they're really shy, but once they get to adults, they tend to get a lot more bold in my experience. And this is also where the marbled newt lives for now. I had him in a paludarium for a long time and never saw him use the water once, so ended up pulling him out of there. Decided it was kind of a waste of energy to try and keep that water clean and circulating and everything when he was never going to use it anyway, so he's in here for now until he gets a little bit bigger. And then I try and find him a mate and get him into his own tank again at some point. Just another little aquarium here. Might do a shrimp tank out of this eventually. And then we have a couple snakes here. This is a Dumeral's boa. Hiding, he likes to bury in the substrate there. Then we have a ball python, big retired breeder, spider female, hiding in her hide there. And then over here we have another ball python. It's a pinstripe male, hiding under his log. I'm not going to talk much about the snakes. I actually think I might get rid of these snakes soon, just to kind of make more room for more frogs. Okay, that's it for the tour today, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that like button and let me know in the comments what you did and didn't like. If you have any suggestions or questions about anything, and let me know if there's anything specific that you guys want to see in the future for the upcoming videos. Otherwise, thanks for watching, guys. Happy frogging.